إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن نبينا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Before we start today's class, I'd like to share with you, the community, some of the things that happened the past week here in the masjid. As many of you are aware, alhamdulillah, we had that sister that took the shahada this past Sunday, alhamdulillah, and that was a very beautiful occasion. It's one of those, one of the main reasons why a masjid is considered to be so important wherever Muslims are. It is to spread that that fundamental teaching of Tawheed, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Our job as Muslims is not to make other Muslims, because no one can make another person become a Muslim. But our job is, at the very least, to present Islam in the way that the Prophet ﷺ, presented it to other people during his time. So, alhamdulillah, that was a very wonderful experience, and I hope, inshallah, I pray that we have many more experiences like that in the near future. Allahumma ameen. And another event, we had the school visit. School came to us and visited. Although it wasn't the full amount of the 90 students that was previously mentioned, alhamdulillah, we had 60 students come to the masjid. Almost, I'd say, when I asked them, they said that about 2 or 3 students out of the 60 had been to a masjid before that. The rest of them, it was their first experience ever in life to come inside a masjid and to see how Muslims worship, what they do, what Islam teaches, and so on. So alhamdulillah, we had some people in the community that accepted the invitation that I gave last time. They came out and they helped and they saw that type of event, and inshallah we actually have another school visiting, quite a few schools visiting in the near future. And again, I pass on the invitation to people in the community. If you want to come to sit, to see the type of experience when a school comes and visits the masjid, please do come. Right now, I don't remember the exact date for the next visit, but inshallah in tomorrow's class I'll update you. And if you can make time, please come. It is good for these students to see, to interact with people that are Muslim, that live in the community. So I would really encourage every brother and sister that wants to make their way down to come down. And on a final note, this coming Monday, in a few days, there will be an event at UVic, organized by the MSA at UVic, and it is that joint venture between the Muslim community and the Jewish community that I mentioned last week. And inshallah, that event will be taking place at UVic, as I said. And if people want to attend, all the information is at the door. There's a poster next to the door. Please send your contact the brothers that are in charge. Let them know that you will be arriving or you intend to come. This is focused on UVic students first and foremost, but it is also open for the wider community. So if you want to attend, please get in touch. On the poster there's all the information that is needed, inshallah, and I will be there, and inshallah it will be a successful event. Now coming back to the dars itself, we reached the portion of the seerah where the Prophet ﷺ had encouraged some of the companions, those early companions, to leave Mecca and to seek refuge in Habasha under the rule of Najashi, rahimahullah ta'ala. Najashi was that pious king that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in good terms, even though he was a non-Muslim at that time. Later on he became Muslim, and some of the companions, they ended up living there for a very, very long time, up until the moment where the companions made the hijrah to Medina. Later on, from Mecca to Medina, there were still Muslims living in Habasha at that time, and they only joined the Prophet ﷺ in Medina later on. And as we progress in the story of the Prophet ﷺ, we'll mention the point in time when they returned. But right now, we divert our attention from Habasha back to Mecca. So now the Prophet ﷺ, he is still giving that da'wah, calling people to La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But the pressure keeps increasing. The pressure from the non-Muslims, from the mushrikeen in Mecca, it just keeps increasing and increasing. And not only is it a pressure against the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam specifically, but it is also pressure against Banu Hashim, the sub-tribe that the Prophet ﷺ is from. To such an extent that scholars mention that the other tribes started to put pressure on Banu Hashim in order for them to intervene and put a stop to what the Prophet ﷺ was saying. And they did everything they could. They tried to seclude the Banu Hashim and Banu Abdul Muttalib from trade and that type of business that they used to live on. And because of those sanctions, if you want to put it in those words, these people went through a very difficult time. And there's mention of starvation, and there's mention of close to a lot of people actually ended up dying because they didn't have the means to help themselves. And the scholars in Islam, they say this went on for 2 to 3 years. So 2 to 3 years, they went through this very difficult time. And it was shortly after that time that the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, Abu Talib, passed away. And Abu Talib was that barrier between himself and the part of Quraysh that disliked the Prophet ﷺ. So even though the Quraysh were going through a difficult time because of the Prophet ﷺ, they couldn't do much to the Prophet ﷺ. Why? Because he had his uncle Abu Talib by his side to protect him. But Abu Talib came to pass away, and on his deathbed, the Prophet ﷺ, due to his immense love for his uncle, he said, he tried to encourage him to at least say the kalimatul tawheed, la ilaha illallah, so that the Prophet ﷺ could argue on his behalf on the Day of Judgment, to have said at least something that would save him from the hellfire. But as the authentic Sunnah teaches us, Abu Talib refused at the end, and Allah Azza wa Jalla sent down verses in the Quran saying to the Prophet ﷺ, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Meaning that verily you, O Muhammad ﷺ, you do not guide the ones that you love. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. But Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one that guides whomever He wants. So this shows us, it teaches us a very important thing in Islam. Because on the one hand, you have Allah saying, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You do not guide those who you love, O Muhammad ﷺ. And also there's other verses in the Quran that Allah Azza wa Jalla says, about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. And you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you guide towards the straight path. Now, if a person just reads the Quran, and this is one of the reasons why the scholars in Islam, they say, when you read the Quran, you need to read it with someone who can explain it the way that the Prophet ﷺ wanted the Quran to be explained, the way that Allah Azza wa Jalla intended for it to be explained. So, on the one hand, you have Allah saying the Prophet ﷺ can't guide the ones that he loves. And another verse says that the Prophet ﷺ guides the ones, the people, to Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path. So how do you understand these two verses? The scholars in Islam, they've said that Hidayah, and we've mentioned this before, guidance is of two types. There's two types of Hidayah. There's the Hidayah, the ultimate guidance that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is Allah alone who decides who becomes a Muslim and who becomes a Kafir. That belongs to Allah. And there is Hidayah, guidance, meaning that you can show people the straight path. You can tell them the Prophet ﷺ came with the religion, and you can teach them about Tawheed, but the final say of whether this person actually accepts it or not, it belongs to Allah. So there's two types of guidance. So when Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying that the Prophet ﷺ guides, it means that he shows people the haqq. The Prophet ﷺ shows the people the haqq, and then Allah Azza wa Jal has the ultimate decision whether this person believes or not. So Abu Talib, he disbelieved, and the Prophet ﷺ with the death of Abu Talib, lost great support. Not only that, but the scholars in Islam, they say shortly afterwards, Khadija radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she passed away as well. Now, imagine Abu Talib passing away and then Khadija passing away. Now, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in a very difficult situation, and he realized that it was only a matter of time before the people of Quraysh would act. They would try to kill him, assassinate him, do whatever they could to get rid of him, because that barrier was gone now. So the Prophet ﷺ, he started looking at different options and different solutions. Because giving up this call to Tawheed, call to Islam, was not an option. So the Prophet ﷺ needed to look for a way to make sure that the da'wah would remain regardless of the death of Khadija and regardless of the death of Abu Talib. So the Prophet ﷺ, he decided to go to the city of Taif. The city of Taif, in those days, there was a tribe known as Taif that used to live in Taif. And these people were people who had some sort of influence. Okay, they were people that had power and they had a say. So the Prophet ﷺ, he set out on a journey to Taif in order to present Islam to these people and to encourage them to accept Islam, and in that way he would have some kind of support. So the Prophet ﷺ set out, and on that journey he took with himself Zayd bin Haritha radiallahu anhu, and they went on the trip to Taif, and in Taif the Prophet ﷺ sat down with the three leaders of Banu Taif, and they were three brothers. Okay, three brothers that were the top of the chain of the command. If they believed, then the rest of the people would also believe. So the Prophet ﷺ focused his da'wah on these three individuals. The narrations tell us that they were, one brother was called Abdiya Layla, and the other one was Mas'ud, and the third one was Habib. Okay, so these were the three brothers that the Prophet ﷺ explained Islam to and tried to help them accept Islam. But قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ, Allah Azza wa Jal did what He wants, and what Allah Azza wa Jal wants happens. So what ended up happening was that these three brothers, not only did they disbelieve in the Prophet ﷺ at that moment in time, but they also made fun of the Prophet ﷺ to his face. One of them, it is reported that he said, did Allah, because they believed in Allah. You have to remember that the mushrikeen, they knew who Allah was, but their problem was that they would worship others besides Allah. So this mushrik said to the Prophet ﷺ, did Allah not find anyone other than yourself to send us a prophet? Were you the only one that Allah found to send us a prophet? Meaning that he was trying to belittle the Prophet ﷺ. And the other brothers, they said things much worse than that to the Prophet ﷺ. And not only did they disbelieve in the Prophet ﷺ and make fun of him, but they actually ended up physically abusing the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ remained in Taif by some accounts a month, other accounts 10 days. And during that time, he kept trying and trying and trying, but these people would always, give the Prophet ﷺ a difficult time. And it was at that moment when the Prophet ﷺ was leaving Taif that the people, they lined up in the streets on both sides of the road. And when the Prophet ﷺ was walking through, when the Prophet ﷺ